everyone, and welcome back to the Philosophy of Fitness podcast, episode number 40. My name is Haley. I'm going to be your host today, and every single day, guys, I am so freaking excited today. So first of all, if you are listening to this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, we have gone through a rebranding, guys. We are updating, we are up leveling. I'm so freaking excited. I decided that it was time to start, putting my face out there with Philosophy of Fitness. And I love the new logo that I've designed, and I'm so happy with how it came out. I did do it myself, so just let me know what you think of it. I really, it was something that I was wanting to do for a long time. And I decided it was time to do it now. And kind of going off of that, if you're watching this on YouTube, we are in a whole new setup, guys. I'm so excited with how this looks too. Oh my God. I'm just so excited in general, just to be kind of putting more time into this podcast and really leveling up. So if you're watching this, you can see I've got a whole new setup here. It's taken me some time to kind of figure out exactly what it was that I wanted to do visually with this podcast. And, as many of you know, I did take a hiatus from the visual portion of the podcast, but I am so happy to announce to you all now that the video portion is back. It is here to stay. I love having the video element of it. I mean, I love watching video podcasts, so I'm so happy that this video portion is back in the picture. And I know a lot of you guys enjoy watching stuff too. So I am so excited to be having this back and to be really getting into a groove and not reinventing myself, but just sort of breathing new life into this podcast. This is my little project. This is something that I started entirely on my own. I had no idea what I was doing when I first started, and I'm so grateful for every single one of you who have supported me along this journey, that, you listen, you tune in, and I'm so thankful to have you be a part of this space, this journey, this community. It's so awesome. So I've got some interesting topics that I want to cover with you guys today. So we'll go ahead and jump into them starting now. Today, I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about quarter life crisis, or quarter life crises, if you will, whatever the plural of that word is. I'm 24. I'm going to be 25 in June. And I feel like I've been going through sort of an identity crisis the last few months. And this is going to sound really crazy to some of you listening to this, but I am so passionate about fitness. I'm so passionate about spirituality, the mind-body connection, and, bridging that gap and understanding it all. And I have had such an amazing journey over the last year, exploring this path for myself, right? Like putting myself out there, speaking a little bit more about the things that matter to me and the things that I am passionate about. But I feel like in a way I've kind of lost myself in that process. And I don't say that to discredit anything that I've done or say that I'm not enjoying myself as I'm doing this. I absolutely love what I'm doing this. But what I want to say with that is I sort of put myself into this box, right? Like I made myself, or I led myself to believe that in order for me to be successful in this fitness space, in this mindset space, then I had to fit into the mold of somebody that only talked about fitness, that only talked about spirituality, that only spoke about things related to mindset, and that I couldn't explore any other part of my creativity or my passion because it didn't coincide with my brand and it didn't align with who I was trying to be. And it's unfortunate, but I've spent a lot of this winter, as I've spoken about many times before, doing tons of shadow work and just reflecting on myself. And I've realized that I've stood in my own way more than I previously thought. And I feel like it would be silly for me to preach to you guys, about the importance of the mind-body connection and going after what you want and setting crazy goals and doing all of that if I wasn't myself doing it also. And so where I want to go with that is, singing is such a huge passion of mine. If you're somebody that's been following me for a while, you know that I love to sing. I was on American Idol super briefly. I got eliminated at the first round of Hollywood Week, but singing was like my first passion. That was my first thing that really allowed me to feel like I was expressing myself. And as a kid growing up, I was bullied, I felt very alone, but singing was like the one thing that I had that I could turn to. And music, it was the same thing. It was the one place where I could go, where I could escape, whatever I was feeling at school, not feeling like I fit in, not feeling like I belonged. And music was really kind of just always there for me. So singing, it was the same thing. It's always been there for me. And it's always been a huge passion of mine. And I always feel so alive when I'm singing, right? And it's something that that I feel like I almost gave up on a little bit. I feel like I gave up on that part of myself because I put the pressure on to think that I needed to somehow fit in this label or this box of just being a fitness person or just being, a spiritual YouTuber, a spiritual podcaster. And that because of that, like that was my identity. It was like I began to embody that to the point where it made me feel like I couldn't even explore any other areas of myself. But I realize now that so much of that identity box exists in our mind, right? Like nobody was telling me this. Nobody was sitting me down saying, Haley, you cannot be singing anymore if you're doing a fitness podcast. Like, what are you doing? You can't do that. Nobody said that to me. That was something that I led myself to believe. It was a limiting belief that I put on myself. And I've only realized this in the past few weeks that was what was going on because to be honest with you guys, like the winter, and I'm sure it has for many of you, has been really tough for me. And I find myself sometimes like, why am I feeling this way? Why do I feel, not just stuck emotionally or vibrationally, but why do I feel like I'm holding myself back? And I think a part of it was because I was denying this whole other part of myself that I had put on the back burner completely, for over a year, more than a year, I put it on the back burner. I actually, this is so embarrassing and this sounds ridiculous, but I actually, when I started the podcast and when I started really going down this path, I unlisted all of my singing videos because I felt like they didn't align with my brand, which is so silly for me to even like say out loud now that I did that. I understand how silly it is. But I have just realized I've totally been in my own way. And I think that's been a part of what's making me feel like I'm stuck, right? Making me feel like I'm not fully expressing myself. Meanwhile, I'll sit here and I will encourage you, like I will support you till the day I die, but I gotta follow my own advice too. And so I actually remade all of those videos public again, and it felt good to do that. And I know that this might sound crazy to some people listening to this. I know this might not be like the most relatable thing, but if you can take anything away from this, if you are struggling, right? If you're thinking that you need to fit into like a certain label or you need to fit into a certain identity of whatever it is, you are more than that. You transcend the limit of any box or label or identity. And those things I think are awesome, right? To an extent. I think it's really cool when you start to embody, you can start to claim a new identity as your own. Like I embody and I embrace the identity of someone who's a successful podcaster or a successful YouTuber. And I step into that. And that's great. And I think that's awesome. But at what point when we step into that identity, do we start to limit ourselves? Do we start to hold ourselves back? And that's really where I was, for the past few months. I've been in grind mode with the podcast and I've been loving every second of it. But as you guys know, I took the video portion away from it. And I noticed that it didn't really feel the same for me putting the content out anymore. And I missed that, I missed having sort of this face-to-face kind of dialogue. And I've slowly just pieced together. I've realized how much denying that part of myself, denying my passion, really one of my biggest passions in life, has made me feel incomplete. And I don't really know how else to say it or to phrase it. other than I've become aware of this now, and I've decided, I'm just going to say it, fuck the labels, right? Fuck the identity, fuck the box that you're putting yourself in. I'm over it. I am done putting myself in a box of thinking I need to behave a certain way online or post a certain way in order to fit in with what I'm supposed to be doing. And that's a belief that I am working every day to deconstruct. I tend to put a lot of my pressure on myself in that sense as well. So I am really trying to do my best to step away from that pressure that I'm putting on myself, and realize at the end of the day, like, I'm not doing this to please someone else, right? I'm not doing this to seek validation from someone. This wasn't how it started, and that's not what I want it to be. This started off as me wanting to express myself authentically, to create a space online, a community online where people feel that they can voice their opinion, openly express themselves, openly talk about fitness, spirituality, even some more of the esoteric stuff out there. Like, that was how this all started. It was fueled by passion, and it still is. And I've realized now that in order for me to actually live in that vibration and live in alignment with what I'm preaching, I need to take the pressure off of myself to try to fit into a certain norm. So I have decided now, if you're a fan on YouTube or if you are subscribed on YouTube, I'm going to be posting more singing videos, not for the sake of any means to an end, but simply for the sake that I love to sing. And it makes me happy, it makes me really happy to sing. And it used to make me so happy years ago when I would post singing videos, and I want to get back into that. And I've realized now, that I can do both, right? I think it's so silly that the pressure of social media, I think in particular, has led us to believe that we have to fit a suit. We have to be one thing. If you're trying to build a brand as whatever it is that you're doing, you have to fit into like this certain mold. And that bothers me on a visceral level. Like, I really don't like the notion of feeling like I have to fit into something, feeling like I need to follow a formula of what someone else has done. I mean, that so goes against everything that I stand for. And I've really realized this now over the past few months. Like I've said, this isn't something that's been a spur of the moment thing for me. This is something that I've been thinking about a lot, and trying to rationalize and understand, like, why do I feel like, or why did I feel like I couldn't do both? Like, why did I let myself get to the point where I decided to keep all my singing videos private because I felt like they were standing in the way of what I was trying to do? I mean, it's crazy. And I think, none of us are perfect, right? I do my very best to speak my truth and to motivate, encourage, and uplift everyone in the best way that I can. But, sometimes we need to listen to our own advice. And that is what I've realized these past few months, is that I'm always so focused on, hyping everybody else up, right? Like, I'm always cheering everyone on around me in my life. And I need to take my own advice now. I need to stop putting labels on myself and just kind of like live in my truth. And a big part of that for me is doing singing as well. That was actually what I started my YouTube channel for back in, I think, 2010. I started off with singing videos. That was the very first thing that I did. And again, that was like my first passion, before even any of the fitness stuff came along. Singing was always there for me. And I feel like I'm coming home to a part of myself again by stepping into that again and not denying myself that expression, because I think that's a huge part of why I've felt like I've been standing in my own way, and I didn't realize it. And this is something that I've slowly come to realize. So I hope you guys stick around for this, and I hope that you continue to to tune in, and just know that there's going to be a lot more singing videos coming over on my YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, youtube.com/Haley Noel if you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. But I guess the main takeaway for this and what I want to leave you guys with today is, don't sell yourself short. When we start to embody a certain identity to the point that that's what we tie like our worth to, right? That's what we tie our entire being to. That's when we start getting in our own way. Because for me, in my mind, I would be like, oh, well, I'm in the fitness space now, or I'm in the spiritual space now. I'm not supposed to sing. Like, that doesn't coincide with that. That's not on brand for me. And it's so ridiculous because who cares? Who cares if no one else does that, right? Honestly, it's probably a cool thing if what you want to do, no one's done before. That's what you probably should be doing, right? Who wants to follow the same freaking mold, the same formula that everyone else before you has followed? Sure, if it brought them success, that's fine. That's great for them. But you have every right. It is your birthright to create your own path. It is your birthright to create your own destiny. And you have every bit of worthiness to pursue that path in whatever way resonates for you. And for me, that's doing fitness stuff, spiritual stuff, and singing, because I freaking love singing. So I'm going to do more of that. And if you're listening to this, if you're thinking, you've got to fit into a certain mold of a certain kind of thing, I'm trying to think of, an example. Maybe if you're trying to grow a business, right? Let's say you're trying to start a bakery or something, right? And you have this identity of, I'm a baker. Like, I'm only going to post on my social media about things that I bake, recipes, showing my process, whatever it might be. That's fine and dandy, but there's so much more to you than just that. Like, there's so much more to me than just what I'm doing here and what I'm sharing. And I'm learning now, and I'm starting to appreciate the fact that, like, it's okay to do that. So if you're seeing this right now, if you are listening to this, let this be your permission slip that you can express yourself however you damn feel. All right? Don't listen to what anyone else tells you. Don't listen to anyone saying that you can only be one thing, that you can't be 2, 3, 4 things at once. Step into your identity. That is something that only you can decide for yourself. And don't sell yourself short. You can do whatever you want, right? The world is your oyster. We are humans. We are meant to live this human experience and experience so many different things. And so many of us have so many amazing different talents, if you're like an amazing soccer player, you are more than your identity as an amazing soccer player, right? I'm sure there's plenty of other amazing things. And I think it's so important for us to allow ourselves to step into that, especially if anyone's listening to this, if anyone is in like that, that entrepreneurial mindset, or if you're trying to start a podcast, or you're trying to start, a YouTube channel, or grow in that way. Allow every part of yourself to be explored if you feel comfortable with that, because I can tell you now, from having put myself in a box for a long time, having put myself in a box really from last fall until now, has made me realize that I have been totally standing in my own way. I've been selling myself short, and today is when it stops. So again, this may not sound like a super big deal to any of you, but for me, it is a huge inner game switch, right? And for a lot of us, sometimes all it takes is one conscious decision to change everything. And for me, that decision now is I'm done putting myself in a box. I'm done putting a label on myself. I'm just going to express myself and fully tap into that self-expression and see where it takes me, right? And not attach any goal or outcome or thing that I feel like I need to get from it. I'm just going to embody it. I'm going to step into it, and I'm going to fully express myself. So again, my loves, if you are listening to this, please, whatever it is that you want to do, go for it. If it's one thing, if it's two things, if it's three things, cool. It doesn't matter. You could be a baker and a soccer player. Go do both. I don't care. What fires you up? What sets your soul on fire? I am equally passionate about speaking my truth here with you guys and sharing what I've come to understand about fitness and spirituality and mindset as I am about singing. Truly, both things light me up, both things fire me up, and it's about time that I step into both. So again, take that with you today. I certainly hope this resonates with you. And before I leave you all, please drop me a comment down below. Comments really help out this channel. How do you like the new podcast setup? Do you enjoy this visual? Are you happy to see the video portion of the podcast come back? Just drop me a comment, say hello. I'll answer, I will reply. We'll chat down there. If you are listening over on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, et cetera, please take some time, leave a review, leave a rating. It really helps out as well. It helps bring this podcast to more people. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on my rebranding. You know, I feel like with this mindset shift of really stepping into myself more, I felt like the rebranding was kind of just a natural extension of that, right? Like actually connecting my face to the podcast and connecting myself to it in that way, and also allowing myself to step into the singing side of things is going to be huge for me. So also, if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'll leave a link below. You guys can see my singing videos over there on Instagram as well. I definitely plan on posting more singing related content, but thank you so much, everyone. I certainly hope you enjoyed today's episode. Remember, the sky is the limit. You can be whoever you want to be. Wishing you so much health, wealth, success, happiness, abundance, and joy. And I will see you all next time. Bye.